Welcome to VOUS Parent Live. We are so excited that you guys are tuning in with us tonight. VOUS parents, we love you, and we are so excited to have this conversation tonight and really to dive into different topics. But thank you so much for joining in on YouTube. We know that we normally have these events in person, and we get to gather together and have fun together and be encouraged. But we thought it was special for us to continue doing this, even online, to get to talk together, to get to encourage one another. And really during this year where we've been enduring a lot, we've been in this collection called Endure, we've been going through so many different seasons. And so we thought it would be special for us to gather here tonight and to be encouraged and to be together as VOUS parents. Now I've got an incredible panel up here with me today, and we're going to introduce them in just a moment. I'm really excited to get to have this conversation and get to talk together. But first of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about VOUS Kids, because maybe some of you are joining in today and this is your first time to be a part of a VOUS Parent Live, or your first time to join into something that VOUS Kids is doing. And VOUS Kids is the kids department of VOUS Church. And we have services on Sundays, and we have kids services online on Sundays as well. And we gather our dreamers, heroes, and legends age. That's our 6 months through 11 years old. We gather and we get to experience God's love together. The mission of VOUS Kids is to develop leaders that are passionately in love with Jesus. We want them to be passionately in love with Jesus. And we know that they are going to be our future world changers. So we're grateful, parents, that we get to partner with you. We know it takes a village to raise a child, and we're so grateful that we get to be a part of your village. So thank you for allowing us to continue to partner with you, to link arms with you, to teach the love of Jesus to these kids. We're so, so grateful. But here tonight, we're at VOUS Parent Live. And VOUS Parent Live really is all about resourcing you as parents, reminding you how incredible you are, and hopefully encouraging you to continue moving forward, to continue being the best parent that you can be. We know that you're the right parent for the job, and we're so grateful that we get to have this conversation and to get to encourage one another. I know for me, as a new mom, these nights, they're so special and so encouraging for me, because it reminds me that I've got so many other parents around me that are walking through similar things. But it also encourages me through hearing their words and their encouragement. I get to walk out of here with tools of how I can apply it to my life. And so I'm excited about tonight. But really, before we even dive in, we've got some special things going on in VOUS Kids that I want to let you guys know about. We've got VOUS Kids online happening each and every Sunday. You can tune in to our heroes lessons and to our legends lessons. We've got worship. We've got our memory verse challenge. We've got incredible lessons for our VOUS Kids. But recently, we just launched VOUS Kids at the Silver Spot Theater downtown. Really special. Our community is gathering at the Silver Spot Theater each and every Sunday to watch the 10 a.m. service live. And now VOUS Kids is gathering each and every Sunday to watch the VOUS Kids service live. So it's really special. You can be a part. You can show up on Sunday and be a part of what God's doing in our community and gathering together as a community to watch service together. But we're excited because VOUS Kids is launching at the Silver Spot, and we really hope to see you there. For more about VOUS Kids at the Silver Spot, why don't you check out this video? Amazing. So incredible that our VOUS Kids are getting to gather again on a Sunday and be a part of really what God's doing in our community. Our community's gathering at Silver Spot, so we thought, why not have our VOUS Kids gather in a safe environment to continue learning about the love of Jesus. It's going to be incredible. We hope to see your family there this Sunday. But I'm excited because we've got such an incredible panel up here today. Some amazing people who do incredible things within our community and also in their homes with their VOUS Kids. And I'm excited to really jump into this conversation together. But instead of me introducing them, I thought it would be special if they introduced themselves, talked a little bit about what they do, and also shared a funny story of working with the kids in their home or the kids within their organization. So we'll kick it off with our girl, Monica.
Thank you, Blair. I'm so excited to be here with VOUS Kids. It's amazing that we're starting to gather again. I'm very, very grateful. I am Monica Oganes. My background is in psychology, and I specialize in school psychology and neuropsychology with children and families. And we do assessments, we do counseling, and so many services for kids. But one story I can share is a time when a kid, maybe 3-year-old, was crying and yelling in the lobby. And when I brought him in my room, of course, I do puppets and I do Legos and a lot of play therapy. And he had so much fun that at the end, when we brought mom in, mom told me actually that Jess went to the pediatrician, had shots, and she had said, we're going to go see Dr. Monica. So the kid thought that I was going to give another shot, and of course, that did not happen. But I'm sharing this story just to share that we can change kids and how they're feeling, their emotions, just by changing perspective and providing them with a safe environment in which they can thrive and they can feel better.
That's great, Monica. Thank you for sharing. My name is Oronde Taliaferro. My day job, I'm a scout for the Detroit Pistons, but my passion is what we do with our youth foundation here in Miami called Challenge to Change. Our youth foundation works closely with the foster care network. We work with schools providing events that we call Sports and Fitness Fun Day. And we also are blessed to be able to do activities with young people from within sports and training, all the way from Palm Beach down to the Keys. I don't really have a funny story to share, but I would like to share some memories, and they all have to do with our collection of talks called Endure. One of the things that excites me about working with young people is to kind of see that light come on when they achieve something that they didn't know that they could achieve. We see that all the time in working with foster care kids who are going through traumatic situations, and they're still trying to be creative. They're still seeking to learn. Kaylee and I, my girlfriend who works with VOUS Kids, we've actually taken some trips to the Dominican Republic to do school supply charity missions and to see those young people walk to school with no shoes, living in third world conditions, but still very grateful and still very humble and, just appreciative to see us come over and spend time with them. And more directly, when I was 26 years old, back in Detroit, Michigan, I was fortunate enough to win a state championship coaching a high school basketball team. I was actually the youngest high school basketball coach in the state of Michigan's history to win a basketball championship. But in that neighborhood, just speaking of the word endure, it was one of the toughest neighborhoods in maybe the United States. Several of those families there they suffered from drug addiction, incarceration, broken homes, single parent homes, and to see those young, the stories behind those young people come together to win a state championship and go on to be the first people to graduate from college, to go on to be productive men and productive citizens. One in particular ended up playing in the NFL and has a record for the most touchdowns in NFL history for his position. But overall, the common theme, within all of those achievements that I've been blessed to see young people do is about overcoming, your circumstances and not letting your circumstances define who you are.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so excited to be here tonight. My name is Erica Vasquez, and I'm a mom of 3 girls, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. There's never a dull moment in our home. And just this week, I was RSVPing for the Silver Spot Theater. We're really excited to join on Sunday. And ever since, my oldest was with me, and every morning she's been waking up asking if today is a day we're going to the theater. We're just so excited to be a part of this community, and to see how excited my girls are just confirms that. We're happy to be here.
That's amazing, Erica. Thank you all for sharing. It's incredible what you guys do and what you do in your home, Erica, and raising 3 girls, Oronde and Challenge to Change, Monica, with your incredible organization. You're just pouring into so many different families, and I'm so grateful to have all of you up here with me today. So grateful that you would take time out of your day to really be here with us. And I'm excited that we get to have a conversation with our VOUS parents. So many tuning in on YouTube right now that are listening to this conversation. And like I said, we're in this collection of talks called Endure at VOUS Church. And this has been a year that we have had to endure so many different seasons as families. And Monica, I know you talked a little bit about a second ago, working with different families and getting to hear their different stories. And you have such an incredible program where you get to love on the kids and families really in the city of Miami by teaching them and different learning skills and being able to be there for them throughout different seasons. As this is a challenging year in 2020 and we've had to endure so much, what are some things that you've seen that families are facing right now that are reoccurring right now, and how can you encourage us to continue pushing through those different challenges?
Yes, Blair, and these are definitely difficult times because we see our families going through so much, yet we see that they do it lovingly and they work with their kids and they love on the community. We see it at VOUS Church where they come and they support each other, and we are still meeting as crews, and we're doing so much for our community, but we have to take care of ourselves at home. And what I see as recurrent themes are typically emotions, what is happening with like how you're feeling as an individual, as an adult, how your kids are feeling, but also learning in a virtual world. How do we learn in a harmonious way now that we're in a virtual world? So regarding those areas with emotions, what I say is, first of all, as parents, you have to give yourselves permission to feel. We are human beings, and human beings have the capability of having all of the emotions, all of them, including the positive emotions, feeling happy, content, joyful, but also the negative emotions, scared, fearful, sad, during these difficult times. So it's normal to feel this way. What we want to do, however, is not create a pattern where we stay in the negative emotions. So what do? We have to be intentional about actively identifying those emotions, labeling them. So say, right now I'm feeling like this, I'm tense, I'm feeling fearful, I'm sad, I am angry. So if you label them, identify, then you can manage them. You can intentionally do things to manage them. And I always tell people, look at the perspective of where your life is. Where are you right now? And think about this moment as only a period of your time, of your life, because we still have 60, 50, 40 years to live. And in all of those years, you can still do so much with your family. You still have God who guides you, His love, His grace. You still have your family, the love of your kids. You still have your parents, siblings, family members. You still have your friends. You have church, our community. You still have a lot. So be grateful. Gratitude goes a long way every day. And regarding the virtual world, I would say, more than ever, it is important that we communicate clearly and use graphic organizers for all of our family. So you, your partner, spouse, or parent, if you're younger, you have to communicate what you're doing on a daily basis. Have realistic expectations. We are not superwoman, superman, super kid right now. We have to have realistic expectations, but tell our kids, what are we doing tomorrow? Have a graphic way of showing them through calendars, through organizers, because imagine when you go to work, do you usually know what you're going to do that day? Yes, right? You know. So kids need to know to remove that anxiety of not knowing what's going on. So if you structure their day, structure your own day, and are realistic about the goals that you're going to accomplish, rest assured that the anxiety will minimize. You'll have some because we're in the middle of a pandemic, but you will have a lighter way to enjoy the rest of your life, and do seek those activities that you can do with your family to enjoy and live, because we still can live and love on each other.
Beautiful, Monica. That was so encouraging, especially just listening to you. And as being a new mom, it's encouraging for me to know that I can label the different feelings that I'm feeling, that I don't have to allow them to become habits in my life or patterns, that I can label those things, know what I'm feeling, and continue to lead in love on my family by taking a moment to say, okay, I'm feeling this. Let me take control of this and continue to love and serve in the way that I want my kids to live their lives and be an example of Jesus in my home. I love what she was sharing, talking really about just an example of that we get to be the example in our homes, that we get to set the day, we get to set the schedule, that we get to say, hey, this is what's going on tomorrow, and get our family excited for it, that it makes the anxiety a little bit less because we know what's coming ahead. And then it helps our kids understand, okay, I know what's coming tomorrow, just like mom and dad know what they're going to do tomorrow. Thought that was so special. Thank you for those incredible tools. Oronde, you've been working with kids for years. You lead an incredible organization called Challenge to Change, and you guys really focus on self-image, making sure that kids have a positive self-image, that they know that who they are, that they are incredible individuals, but you also make sure that they know that they have their own individual gifts. We have so many VOUS parents tuning in tonight, and I would love for you just to share and encourage us a little bit about how we as parents can really encourage our kids to discover their own gifts.
Yes, thanks for asking that, Blair. So one of the things that we've carried over from being here, being members of VOUS Church, is trying to keep a spirit of excellence, meaning that we do our very best no matter what the circumstances. And in 2020, that spirit of excellence has everything to do with patience and creativity. What's funny is that, back in March, a week before spring break, the Foster Care Network actually reached out to us to ask us to do a spring break camp. And what they told us is that, you guys would be there for about a week, do some programming with the kids at the shelter. So then all of a sudden, COVID hits, the country is shut down. So we got a call after that from the Foster Care Network saying, hey, can you guys stretch this out for a couple of weeks until we get this COVID thing solved? So those couple of weeks turned into 17, 20 weeks, and, we went right into the start of school year. Then from there, when school started, we thought that we would, be ending that, kind of camp activity. But then they called us back and said, we have several families in foster care who have to go to work. We have to find a way to get them into distance learning, some of their kids. So they found a location for us to do distance learning programs for kids in foster care. And all of that took a tremendous amount of creativity, things that we had never done before. And that's so relative to what we must do with our kids at home, especially when it applies to physical health. Obesity was an epidemic before COVID-19 hit. And that had everything to do with being on the tablets too much, playing the video games. And now with distance learning, we have kids that are on these tablets literally all day long. So as parents at home, what we encourage you all to do is to make sure that you identify ways to go outside and to participate in different activities. We can offer some advice and let you guys know about some of the things we do. We'll leave our information for Blair to share. But we have coaches, we have mentors, and it's very important to learn some of those things as parents so that you can teach those same principles and activities to the kids that you have at home.
That's amazing, Oronde. I think what you're sharing about having mentors and having people in your life like coaches to help you develop your own gifts. Like VOUS Kids, we've got our parents, obviously, who are leading and loving on their kids at home, but we've got incredible VOUS Kids team and people like Oronde in our city that lead and love on these kids and continue to pull out what God has placed on the inside of them. And I love that Erica is up here today because she is a mom of 3 amazing girls, and she really leads and serves each week at church. She homeschools. She does so many things. She's an incredible wife, but really she is doing a lot of what Monica's talking about, of the day-to-day, figuring it out with 3 girls at home, trying to figure out what life looks like during a pandemic. And so as a mom, Erica, what are some things that you've been intentionally doing to create a positive environment in your home during this season?
Well, like Monica had mentioned, one of the things that's of utmost importance is keeping myself in a healthy state. And that includes getting up, reading my Bible, getting in God's word, and just having a moment of prayer. It really sets the tone for my day and shifts my perspective. And I think I'm responsible for setting the tone in my home. And that's been really important to make sure that I'm in a healthy state so that I can show up for my kids and be intentional. And like Oronde was saying too, getting creative with getting them outside. If it's a rainy day in Miami, if that means raincoats and boots on, we're exploring, we're doing what we can just to stay healthy, active. It just makes such a difference, especially now these days that we're spending so much more time at home, to be creative and getting everyone outside and making it a memorable experience instead of a time of fear, that we can connect, that we can spend this time together and enjoy it.
I love that, Erica. I think it's so special during this time because we are getting moments to connect even more than we have before as a family, especially if we're doing virtual learning. We're getting opportunities to connect and to be with each other more than ever before. And I love that you're challenging us as parents to make memories, even in the small things, just getting outside for the day and spending a few moments. All those things can create memories for our kids. And I think that's encouraging for all of us to know, okay, even in the small moments that we have, we can create a memory. Even while we wait, we can create a memory. And Monica, I know that we talked a little bit earlier about some anxiety and fear, and Erica mentioned just a moment ago, just fighting through that fear as a parent. Right now, we're in this year of a pandemic, and there's a lot of negative thoughts that can creep into our mind as parents, and we can begin to think negatively about the future and even about right now, what's going on today. How would you encourage us as parents today to continue to fight through those negative thoughts?
So the first thing we have to understand, Blair, is how the brain works. Before we have an emotion, so we have a fear, we have sadness, we're worried. So before we have any emotion, there's an event and there's an automatic thought. And when those automatic thoughts are negative, so those negative thoughts that you talk about, usually it is because we have a pattern of behavior that we have learned through life. So, we all have so many experiences in childhood, in adolescence, early adulthood that shape us. And it really depended on how our parents helped us through those challenges and how life presented challenges that we start interpreting those events in a negative way. So if we have an emotion, because we're not really necessarily going to recognize the negative thought, what we're going to recognize is the emotion. So if we have an emotion, if we're worried, immediately we think, okay, there's a thought attached to that worry. What am I worried about? Well, I'm worried about, the pandemic, the virus. I'm worried about my children. It's normal. Of course, you need to be worried. That is a normal concern. So normalize, acknowledge that it's okay. But then you kind of put things in perspective and think and maybe make a list of what is the evidence that you have that will happen versus the evidence that, you are doing everything you can to prevent that from happening. You are getting your kids prepared, telling them they're going to be healthy, giving them the tools to be, functional in this environment without fear, by taking precautions maybe, or their homework if they can't handle it, just telling them that everything will be okay, that we will do what we can during virtual times, during virtual classes. We're not expecting them to learn everything at this moment because it's impossible to have the same level of learning as in person. Or if they're going back to school, by giving them those tools so they are not constantly worried. So it's important that you recognize that the negative thoughts is usually a pattern, that you address it, and then you put it in perspective and balance it with the positive things and the preparation that you're doing and providing your child with the understanding that you and all of the adults that surround them are doing everything they can to keep them safe, to keep them engaged, that they're going to do everything they can for them so they feel safe and they can function and they can be happy.
Beautiful, Monica. I love what you said about acknowledging our thoughts and actually telling ourselves it's okay to have these thoughts. This is a crazy year in 2020, and recognizing that it's okay to have these thoughts, but that we don't have to make them a pattern. I think that's such an incredible tool for us today, even as we experience the next day of school, of virtual learning, or sending our kids to school during a pandemic, of us saying, okay, I'm acknowledging that I've got this thought of worry, but I'm going to make sure that this doesn't continue to become a pattern in my life. I'm going to live out for my kids that we're going to do the best that we can today and that we're going to make today a great day. And Erica, I know that you do a lot of that in your home, that you remind your girls of really who they are in Jesus by just continuing to share the love of Jesus at home and declaring that this is going to be a great day. We're going to keep going. We're going to make this an amazing day, and we're going to have moments to connect throughout the day. And during this time, we've really seen that there's been so much happening in our world. We're not able to connect in the normal ways that we do within our home. And right now, Erica, as you're home with your girls, what are some ways that you guys have been connecting, whether it just be the 15-minute breaks, whether it be bedtime, school breaks, whatever it is? What are some ways that you guys have been intentional in connecting, and how can you encourage us as parents to do the same?
Yeah. Well, I think during this time, something that we've incorporated is bedtime prayer. So it's just something, it's part of our routine. And that's actually also, it's really helpful to have a routine, a structure, a little bit of predictability in an unpredictable time. But something that we do every night before bed is we pray together as a family. And that's a time where my husband and I will talk about things that we want to pray for. And it opens it up for our girls to also share things that are on their hearts. And they know that we're going to talk about it as a family. We're going to come to God and talk to Him about it. And it's just kind of fun to have that moment of family prayer. And I think we're teaching them a skill that they can come and talk to God. And they're watching us also pour our hearts to God. And so it's just a nice way to take that load off in this time and be intentional about it.
It's incredible, Erica. I think that's something that we can all begin to be intentional about during this season, and continuing to show our kids at home that we're putting Jesus first, that He knows all the answers and that we don't. So we're going to continue praying and believing that the best is ahead and continue leaning on Jesus. I think that you are such an incredible example of that, Erica, in our community. And I think that us as parents, we can take that today and even tonight, do that with our kids. Say, let's pray together. Let's believe that, yes, maybe we don't have it all figured out. And maybe today was a tough day of learning and a tough day of experiencing what's going on in our world. But tonight we're going to pray because we know that Jesus meets us right where we're at. I think that's so beautiful. And Oronde, I know that you can touch on this a little bit about just connecting moments, connecting with your kids, because you are all about actually getting out and staying fit. Your Challenge to Change organization is incredible. It reminds the youth that they can stay fit, that they can do different activities outside to connect with each other and to find their own gifts. Maybe let us know a little bit about some ways that we can do that as parents, some ways that we can get out, that we can stay fit as a family, that we can have fun really getting outside, whether it's from being in the park to playing some games together, whatever it may be.
Sure. So, throughout this pandemic, we've learned a lot as an organization. Obviously everybody's been kind of figuring things out day by day, but from our challenges and what we've been requested to do from so many different youth sectors, and again, including the foster care network, we've had to figure out ways to put kids in small groups in safe social distancing and do things under pandemic measures to still allow kids to experience exercise and healthy activity in the safest way possible. What's been interesting with some of the cities and areas that we work with, a lot of parents have come out to the fields and showed up to be a part of that with their kids. And we'll have a yoga station, we'll have capoeira, which is Brazilian martial arts, we'll have boxing, we'll have different sectors of the field with kids, 8 to 10 kids in a small group per station. And then we'll look up and parents will be at the yoga station or at the dance station, trying to be involved in the activities with their kids. And, I think that's the best way. Obviously, we can continue to do things virtually, but we're on the computer so much, so to do things strictly online is just, additional hours on the computer. But if that's the only option, I think a good idea is to get some pre-recorded content on soccer drills, basketball drills, cheerleading, gymnastics, no matter what it may be. And as a parent, to take your child out in the backyard if you feel that's the only safe way to conduct those activities And, it's just so much that you can do once you get outside and start to participate. But again, we've had, high success and rave reviews, but like I said, going to parks and bracketing stations off and keeping kids in small groups. And it's been super fun. We've learned a lot from that, but the activities have been awesome. And just talking about connecting, Blair, just to give you one testimonial, and again, as we talk about our VOUS values, like we say at the end of every Sunday, just keep coming back. One of the kids in foster care, her name is Bree. She's an amazing young lady, but she wrote a letter, to us as she aged out of foster care, and she mentioned in her letter that one of the dynamics of being in foster care is that you see so many people in passing. You feel like sometimes you're being passed around. And she said, foster care kids, they appreciate the donations, obviously, but those are people that they really never even learn their names. So the thing that meant the most to her about us is that we kept coming back. Is that each week, instead of 2 or 3 times, it ended up being 20-something, 30-something weeks. So just the importance of connecting with kids and consistency, we can't let that be lost, due to the fact that we're stuck inside.
It's beautiful, Oronde. And I know that for us as parents, that's so relevant because it reminds us to just keep coming back. Every single day, we've got to just keep showing up and keep being examples. And I loved what Monica was sharing because it reminds us that, okay, even through the crazy thoughts that we might be having, that we can acknowledge those and know that they're okay. But like Oronde and Erica are sharing, we can keep showing up and keep creating moments where we get to connect with our kids. We get to get outside, do fun things. I love what Oronde is sharing. We can do yoga with our kids. We can do basketball, gymnastics, get outside for a moment and just create a moment to connect, to have fun, to make a memory. Because I love what your story was talking about, Oronde, is just that the connection moments, it makes all the difference in these kids' lives. They're reminded that, wow, someone cares for me, someone truly believes in me, and that they're getting to make a memory right there, and that sticks with them forever. And I know that all of what has been shared already is such incredible tools for us as parents to walk forward during the 2020 and even beyond. And I hope that you as parents have felt resourced. But we've got an incredible panel up here today. And I just wanted to know if you could share one more thing to these VOUS parents today. Monica, you're an amazing mom. If you could share one more thing to these parents just to encourage them during this season, what would you say?
So one thing that I would tell parents is to always remember that whatever we go through in life was planned by God, right? So He has a bigger plan that we can even understand. So think about your kids as being on the job training right now. So how you teach them how to handle this adversity, because this is an adversity for all of us, but they are actually watching you every day. And this is on the job training. How are they going to respond to adversities, challenges in life? I mentioned earlier that we are shaped by what happens in our childhood, in our adolescence, in our early adulthood. So right now, we have the opportunity to be intentional about choosing the way we are going to change our homes with the tools that we can learn here, we can learn at church every week by showing up, by being intentional about our mental health, by really, really helping our children see that this moment in time is a time where we can lean on each other, lean into God, and really listen to Him and see that what He's doing in our lives is providing us the opportunity to be closer to our families, to make connections with friends through virtual times. I know I've connected with my friends from Peru, from my family in Peru through virtual times, with platforms which I didn't do before. So if we look at all of the positive things that came out of this difficult moment, and if we act upon it and are intentional, our kids are going to be good, they're going to be better. Because remember, kids remember the memories and the special moments that they spend with you, no matter what's going on in the environment. So this is your time, your opportunity as parents to create that positive environment, that love of God, and that community and communication that they needed. And just go with it, and you'll see how they will flourish.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome, Monica. I think what she said about being intentional is where I would start. I think what I would encourage parents to do is to make sure if you need help to seek resources, but even better, if you have the opportunity to help someone, go out and be a resource. The example that I use is directly to my own life. As a young person, at 6 years old, my father was shot and killed in Detroit, and as a teenager, I was playing, on sports teams. And what I noticed, something that really stood out to me, like I would score a couple of touchdowns or score the most points in a basketball game, and the other kids on my team would envy that, and they would look up to that. But then once the game was over, they would be leaving to go with their fathers, to go, to Burger King or to, do things after the game. And that left the emptiness, for me. But those coaches on my team and other parents, they noticed that, and they stood in the gap, and they came through for me and gave me direction, And one of the things about that bonding with my coach, just directly to doing the right things, I remember he would collect report cards, and this wasn't even a league rule; it was his rule. And if you didn't have the adequate grades, he just would tell you right then and there, turn in your uniform tomorrow. So just having strong male figures who were not my own father was super important, to my own path, to do anything that I've been able to achieve. So I just want to encourage parents to do those two things. If you don't have enough help, don't be afraid or don't be embarrassed to reach out. And then also, like I said, if you can help someone else's child, that's super, super important.
I love that. I love that we can play a role, be intentional. And off of that, being intentional in our homes and just shifting our perspective, I think that's been huge. Being intentional about what I'm thinking changes our whole dynamic for the day. I want to use this as an opportunity to make memories. I've also learned that if I'm distracted on my phone, if I'm just not giving my children the attention they need, they're going to do things to get my attention. And I've just noticed if I just take my phone, put it away, my laptop, 5 minutes, and connect with my child, give them a hug, read a story together, that's enough to fuel them to go do an activity, and I can get done what I need to get done. But being intentional with those moments of connection where I can fill them up and make sure that they emotionally got what they need from me, it's kind of amazing how just being intentional with that can free you up to do so many other things. I think connecting and being intentional about it has been game changer.
I love that. And I think it's beautiful what you all shared. Such encouraging points from different perspectives, which I think is really important for us as parents because we're in different seasons. And maybe some of us are looking at other people saying, oh, I wish I was in that season. And this is just a reminder that you're in the season that God has called you to and that He's graced you for, and that you are the right parent for the job. And I'm really grateful for our community because we're up here talking with 3 people that are part of the VOUS Church community that do such an incredible job of loving on the families of Miami and really leaning in and creating intentional moments like Erica was just sharing in their homes and in their organizations. And I'm so thankful that we have a community that says you don't have to walk alone, that we're standing beside you. And in VOUS Kids, we truly want to partner with you. We want to link arms with you and walk this journey out with you and remind you that we're for you, that we're for your family, that we're for your kids, that we're cheering you on every step of the way, but that we're also here to resource you and to encourage you in any way that we can. We're for your kids. We love your kids. Our VOUS Kids team is so grateful that they get to be a part of their lives week in and week out. And I just want to take a moment to thank Monica, Oronde, and Erica for being with us today. We're so grateful for you. Come on, I think wherever you are, we can give them a round of applause for being here today. So amazing what they shared, and I'm so encouraged. Like I said earlier, I'm a new mom. I have a 3-month-old at home, my first baby girl. And this is encouraging for me. I'm walking out of here with so many different things that I need to write down, just talking from what Monica's sharing about being intentional and acknowledging our thoughts and what Oronde is sharing about being the example for others. Maybe we need to ask for help when we need it, or maybe we can be of help in the moment. What Erica's been sharing about just being intentional in our homes, creating those connection moments of making memories, because our kids, they'll remember the memories. Like Monica said, they might not remember what's going on around them, but they'll remember the memory that you created with them. So grateful for you guys. Thank you for being here tonight with us. But I'm excited because Sunday's coming up, and it's going to be a special day at the Silver Spot. And I hope that we get to see you there. But before we go, we want to pray, and we want to just invite God into our homes right now, and to invite him to just give us a peace tonight as VOUS parents, to know that we're the right people for the job, that we've got this, that we can continue moving forward in grace and in his strength. So come on, VOUS parents, let's pray together. Lord, we thank you for tonight, God. We thank you for Monica, Oronde, and Erica being here, for sharing such important tools that we can walk away from this moment and continue to lead and love on our family. God, we thank you for every VOUS parent that's watching right now on YouTube. We thank you for their families. God, we thank you for their lives. We thank you that you have called them to this, that they are the right parents, that they have been placed here in this moment to lead their family, and that you are going to walk them through it, that you're going to continue to give them wisdom, that you're going to continue to guide them, to give them peace when they're feeling worry or anxiety, that you're going to remind them that you are for them. God, we thank you for the VOUS community. We thank you that we've got a community of people that surround us, that are for us. I pray that we never forget that, and that we continue to lean into your word during this season. We love you. And every VOUS parent on YouTube said, amen, amen. We always say that in VOUS Kids, and every VOUS Kid said, amen. I love that. I'm excited for this weekend. This really got me pumped up, and I can't wait to see so many of you VOUS parents on Sunday. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Like I said, we love you. We are for you, and we hope to see you this Sunday at the Silver Spot. We love you.
Hey, Rich Wilkerson here. I want to say a big thank you for watching today's content, believing and trusting that it impacted you. And if it did help you or encourage in any way, I would love for you to like it and share it with some other people. Make sure to subscribe to the VOUS Church YouTube page, where you can get more content just like this. And while you're there, go peruse the gallery, as they say, and see past talks and past content that I believe is going to help you. I love you. Best is yet to come.